right, so we'll get started. And this slide, this presentation, 2 of the slides kind of got deleted, so I was trying to like really quick recover them. So the content is definitely different. So anyway, going back to, hold on, exit. I accidentally pushed it. I didn't mean to. So Danny and I'll be honest, I think both of us would agree with this. We're a little bit hypocritical, and it's when it comes to this slide. But it's not so much. When we get to that next slide, we'll kind of show y'all some of the, we kind of researched on what work-life balance means to everybody. And so different people in different companies and organizations all feel it's different. We consider the gym like part of an extension of our family. So for us, working all the time in it is not. It's not, and luckily our kids are extremely supportive. Our son and our daughter, obviously on our team there, our younger daughter is, kind of going through the process of becoming a coach and doing those things. She works for Ray Jasper in the summer. So she kind of is learning that part of it. So all of that, us working all together is good. Our other 2 kids are out of the house. So, for us, 10 years ago, it would have been a really different picture. I think we would be presenting up here, but for us, and we'll kind of go through some of the things that we have seen some of our staff going through. We have a couple who are starting families, and so what that picture looks like to them too. So or is starting to look like to them. So,
do y'all have like discussions around work-life balance with your staff? It's okay. It's okay if not. I mean, I'm just asking to like take the temperature of the room, just to understand. I come from a really like my corporate background. It's like serious work-life balance, right? If that was my only gig, right? It would be like, they have, cafeterias and workout facilities and places where you can bring your kids and go like fishing, and they have softball leagues and all these different things right there on campus. So very much work-life balance. We have a huge daycare facility. You can bring your kid and drop them off and then go get them right afterwards. So if you get off at 4, you see your kid at 4:05. And so that is like corporate world work-life balance. Okay, but we really don't work in the corporate world. Okay. Oh yeah, you can take your kid.
Yeah.
Huh?
At work.
At work, yeah. You can take a kid fishing. Like I said, there's softball fields, soccer fields. You got the big, beautiful deer running around. The campus is bigger than the Pentagon. Yeah. And so that's the type, we have doctors we have like 3 different,
pharmacies
and doctors. And it's like
the benefits are incredible. Yeah.
So corporate world, that's work-life balance. Were you going to ask questions? Sure.
A lot of our staff, obviously, I don't know if I speak for everyone, probably most people in Australia, our staff are younger.
Yeah.
We don't have that depth of coaches. Most of our coaches are trained up, so there's we have 2 coaches older than myself.
Yeah.
One comes from the dance world, and another has cheered with us for years, so she's like 2 months older than me. But for most of our coaches who are 21, 18, the ones younger than that, they're junior coaches.
Yeah.
They're doing those ones, we are their life.
Yeah.
Right.
And he'll tell you it's probably the most important. That's the most important time to tell them that they need to do this, and you'll see why. Yeah.
Did you finish what you were saying? I'm sorry, we didn't want to interrupt you.
We're their life. They live and breathe.
Yeah.
They don't have kids. They have friends, but all their friends do cheer.
Right.
And,
right. Yeah.
They come, they work. They might be at uni or college or whatever we call it. Two is different, but we are really.
Yeah.
Their world, they don't have kids.
Yeah. It's
underdeveloped.
Yeah. I think that
we'll talk to that here.
Yeah, because we have some employees who kind of the same thing, and they when the stress level gets high during national season or during choreography in the summer, Danny's had to actually have those conversations with them. We'll go through that a little bit
so just to do you want to go ahead and start with the first slide? Okay.
Yeah.
But remind me to get back to that, because we start with work-life balance even with our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we'll talk about that, what that means.
So we found 3 different, CEOs of companies who are founders that talked about, what it meant to them, and 3 I'll let y'all read it. I won't read it to y'all, but 3 very different opinions. And it kind of goes down, to some of these things, we're talking about younger people and older people. So it was, and Danny and I have I think, ours is comment. I'll let y'all read it.
Yeah, just kind of take a look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can barely see it, but if you can see it and read it, just try and absorb it a little bit. I think I gravitate more towards the third one. Mm-hmm. But as you're reading through them, hopefully this gives you a definition or at least an understanding that you shouldn't feel guilty of whatever your work-life balance is. Because it's almost ever-changing, week to week, hour to hour, month to month, year to year. It'll change depending on
I think, and for me, when I was a teacher, I loved teaching. I truly did. I was kind of at a point in my career though where I felt I taught special needs children, and it was they were high functioning. I taught them they just had learning disabilities. That you wouldn't know if you saw them walking down the street. They weren't. And I was getting frustrated not with teaching, but with the system. And I knew, I'm a very positive person, and I kind of, always I'm good about, I don't like the negativity that I'm feeling in my life. So I knew I needed a change. And so, I would work and I'd, coach, and I'd be home by 6:30 every evening, and I'd be able to, spend time with my family. And, but I was not happy in my work, so now I work, 12 to 20 hours a day, and my son, we're raising him, but in a different way than we raised our other 3 when they were that age. But I'm so much happier, you know what I mean? And it's the satisfaction that I'm getting from this is it's worth it to me to be working that amount. So.
I agree. And if y'all been in our sessions before, I told you, when we first bought the business, I was signed up for 3 years of working 7 days a week. But we had identified the fact that Coco, who's our youngest, right, that it was going to take special attention to make sure he had the same experience that our other 3 kids had, because they were already kind of moving on and doing their thing. So that's something that we have to remind each other periodically to stay conscious of Coco, because he didn't pick to be born last. And we got to make sure we're delivering it. So for me personally, my work-life balance is making sure that I spend time with him, and making sure that, I got to coach everybody else's teams. I got to travel with them. I got to groom them and all those different things. And we're doing that with him, but I'm having to watch it through other coaches because they're so much better than I am at doing what they do. And so I have to be that parent that we talk about. The parents play roles in our gym, and so I have to be that parent for him. So it's just hugs and kisses for him. How are you doing? How's your day? That's his favorite thing to ask me. He's like, how was your day, Dad? And I was like, okay. So those are the work-life balance experiences for me, because as I told y'all before, if we had that second location, I signed up for another 3 years. Right? But these are just decisions and conscious decisions that you have to make and give and take with your situation. And hopefully you got through a few of them. I'm a very, very slow reader, but normally I have to read out loud, so I was just kind of looking at the one that I remember reading, and that was the third one. And so that kind of fits me. And hopefully by looking at these, you just see that there's just not one size fits all. And you really have to, I counsel my employees at work, if once you're getting ready to go through certain stages, you have to sit down and have a conversation with that small circle of people that are very important to you in your life, and explain to them what you're getting ready to do. And so that way everybody understands what's happening as you're going through the different processes that you're getting ready to go through that might take up more time, and they understand what you're getting ready to go through, so you can have that support. That's part of work-life balance as well. Do you want to go to the next screen?
Yeah. Okay, I think this is Okay, this is.
Okay, so this is us. Right? So, you know, yes, we work all the time, you know, but just making time to take embarrassing pictures of your kids sleeping.
Yeah.
And my wife is.
As the purpose of that is, we laugh all the time as a family, and we keep it fun. And you know, they were so.
My wife is the cat lady.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have cat ladies in
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
That's my wife. You know,
He's
those
jealous.
are our babies
of my
up there.
cat,
And,
yes.
you know, one of my favorite things to do is to take my sons and my dad fishing. So that's us in the middle. We go fishing. Texas is a really, really big bay fishing capital of the world, so it's awesome. And then obviously being able to spend time with your family.
Yeah.
And we had a big event. You know, my oldest daughter got married, and then last year Rebecca and I were blessed to be chosen gym owners of the year, and it was completely surprise for me. You know, she was kind of, hey, we're gonna go do this, and I was like, okay, well, let's go. And I was feeling really, really guilty because I had to leave my summit teams, and I normally don't leave the summit teams when they go to Worlds, and I usually stay back and work with them and just kind of make sure, you know, everything's going well. But we went and we ended up being selected, and I wasn't even in the speech. So Rebecca did the whole thing.
Well, because he didn't. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's another story. And but this is our, like, right here down this picture below. That's our staff. A lot of our main staff who you know, were either on our Worlds teams or, you know, or like my son and my daughter and my other son are there. And and my mom's standing next to me. But those are like things that, you know, to see my mom cry, you know, when we got that was something, because she knows all the sacrifice. She's put a lot into this company as well, and sacrificed a lot. She helps us with my son tremendously. So just to have them there, those important things in your life, and to include them, both of our families, we're very, very blessed that both of our parents are still living, and but they help us still with our business. So it's kind of we have great families. So, and that's all of them up there at the top. So so that's us. All right.
So this is what it means to
Yes.
us.
Don't not do these things. You still need that part of your life, definitely. So,
All right. So have y'all ever used the term "be here now"? Okay, so be here now in every phase of your life, right? So are we going to break these down in different slides, or are they all on one?
No, I think, yeah, this is.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure, because all the other ones broken down. So every phase. So a lot of people are really good about being here now at work, you know, because that's how they get paid. That's how they take care of their families. That's their lifestyle. But also whenever you separate and you go to your private life, you know, your whether it's your buddies or your family, you know, being here now in all those situations is critical. And so that's, you know, I don't know if you saw the picture. She didn't put the picture up there. We had a little bit of quiet time in a competition, and I was like, hey, you know, trying to have a conversation with her, and she's on her phone. So I took a picture of it and said, here's "Be here now, Rebecca." So that's just an example of being here now. Yeah. Work before you play. So, and again, these are what it means to us, right? Mm-hmm. And so I can't go play unless I know my business stuff is taken care of. That's just me personally. Mm-hmm. Because I like to play golf, and everything's floating in my head. Golf is such a you know, it's just every little thing's going in your brain. And if I didn't do payroll, or, you know, I didn't have that conversation with that parent, or I didn't get this report done on time, that always floats in the back of my mind. So it doesn't allow me to be there now if I haven't done my work before I play. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So that's just the best practice that I'm sharing with you guys. So make time for your work family. Okay, does everybody have a work family? I know we all do. We all cheer. You know, it's all about family, and so we hold our family very near and dear to our heart. You know, and so it's not uncommon which I'm sure in your situation as well. You know, I tend to love to barbecue. I'm in Texas, so we like to make lots of meat and stuff like that, and so we like to barbecue. So we always have the staff over, and we just spend time together. You know, and we always end up talking about cheerleading. And we always, we get a little excited sometimes, and we have a little fun, maybe drink a little too much beer sometimes, and we start playing cheer music, and it becomes a little crazy. But you need those types of relaxation. I go to bed
with my cat, just so y'all know. I eat with them, and I go to bed.
Yeah, she does. She's like, hey, where's Rebecca? It's like, witness protection program. She's gone.
Yeah. Yes.
So we love watching football and all that good stuff. So spending time with your work time family is important. Family time, obviously, Rebecca and I really need to make sure that we carve out that time for our kids and making sure that we're spending time with them. Balance fitness and sleep. This is probably the worst thing that I've had over the last probably 6 months to a year, but definitely the last 6 months. I had surgery at a torn bicep, and so I just had it replaced or reattached, and so it was not a fun recovery. So getting back to sleep and fitness is something that's really important. I went for a jog here. Ooh, it's hot. It's nice, and so then I decided to stay indoors today. Did that, so that was good. And then part of my balance is to be nice to my wife.
That's the most important one. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest with you. I mean, because we're so close and we're always together, it's easy to be critical of each other, right? It really, really, really is. And you may see the pictures on the slide before, and oh yeah, Gym Owners of the Year. But you know that there's a story behind that, and it's not a rosy one all the time. And so I've made a huge conscious effort because my day is always bad if we're not in tune. And it's just we don't have to really like everything that's going on, but as long as you just, hey, I love you. Hey, I don't want to fight right now. I know we're doing this. And if you can get that, if you have that, because a lot of these dynamics or the relationships are pretty close, if you're able to kind of have that buffer there and make sure that you not necessarily y'all are both playing that role, then it allows you to just not have so much stress on you. So for me, I personally put that one up there because I've made a conscious decision to start doing that, and it's been a much happier environment for me and balance and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we balance each other out because I'm obviously very easygoing and laid back, and he's very high stressed, and so it's me. I get stressed when he's so stressed, and I'm like, why are you so stressed? Chill, it's all good. And so and then that stresses him out because he doesn't feel like I'm so it's.
Hey guys, so let's stop here and let's talk about what work-life balance means to you guys. Anybody want to volunteer and start the conversation? Okay.
Yeah, it's hard when you have a business or you're coaching and yeah.
You don't want to miss out on seeing them grow. You don't want to miss out on you don't want to see them resent you for that.
Yeah.
At the same time, you want to build something for them to
Right.
be able to create something for them to have.
Yeah, and sometimes, there's that little sacrifice that has to be made, or not little, it's a sacrifice that it has to be made. We have a young coach who has a son on our team, and we carve out Tuesdays for him. So every Tuesday, he has a split household, right? So he gets to see his son so often, but every Tuesday he's not on teams or in class. So it's important to us to make sure that we've modified that schedule to where he can meet his commitments, but also be able to have that time. Now, he doesn't own the gym or run the gym, so you might have a whole different kind of stressors, but being able to be conscious of that and having a leadership group that supports you in that situation is going to be really important. So knowing your employees and what their personal situations are, and also making them comfortable enough to come and approach you and tell you, hey, listen, this is my day. Can we do something about this?
And he got that a lot from USAA. Is probably one of the most family-oriented companies that exists, and so we definitely understand that, and we definitely.
And it's different, though. I mean, in fairness to us and you, it's not the same. We have 30,000 employees there. Yeah. Okay, so we don't have 30,000 employees. So if I'm not there or one of my guys isn't there, it's not like the company is going to. So you can do the work-life balance thing a little bit differently because you got 28,000 other people if people need help out there getting it done.
They have an ergonomic department. Do y'all know what that is? Ergonomics. Anyway, and, it helps you. They get you comfortable at your desk. They have, you have a special mouse, screen, whatever you need. They come.
She makes fun of me.
I do because when I was a teacher, I felt like my wrist. I was getting carpal tunnel, and he goes, "Call it ergonomics." So I emailed our technology department. I was like, my husband said to ask if we had an ergonomics department, and they all laughed. Because anyway, yeah.
Little tears.
I know, yeah.
So, where was I? You took me off.
I know, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, that's not good.
I
Okay.
know.
Work-life balance Tuesday.
Okay, so yeah, well, yeah. So, in fairness to us, we have a smaller, leaner staff.
Yeah.
Thanks for catching me there. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So, a smaller, leaner staff. So, if that person's missing, it's more impactful.
Yeah.
And so, it's not like, hey, take off whenever you want. We have to be very strategic and organized, and you can't always tell them yes. Okay. So it's a balance. I know I gave you kind of a rosy picture there of that one particular situation. You know, we have kind of our Claudia, who's our like almost, I don't know. We don't really have titles,
director.
but
Yeah.
you know, everybody knows that she is George's right-hand person. She's, you know, if it's not George, it's her. She's making a lot of the decisions and helping coaches see blind spots and things like that. She's a single mom, right? And so it may not be in your culture or your environment, but we got a playpen in our gym, right? And so the village supports Ezra. And that's just a conscious decision that we make to say, hey, you know what? We're going to support that balance so she can have some balance. We're going to support that balance in here. And it may not be optimal, may not be in your plan, may not be in your thought process, and it's not right that we do that, and it's not wrong that we do that. It's just helping people kind of see that. And, you know, she's a little disjointed from her family. They're probably about 2.5 hours away. And so understanding that maybe one Thursday out of the month we let her cut out early to start heading home so she can spend a couple of days in her hometown. You know, just little things like that, and knowing your staff, it goes a long way in helping provide that balance for them. Okay, so did you have anything to add?
Well, and one of the things is we have one of our employees who he takes on projects and he loves trying new things and coaching, you know, the new teams and all the babies, and he almost had a breakdown, like a mental breakdown this year where he went kind of missing for a day, and he basically cut his phone off and went and just needed to but he didn't tell anybody. So it caused a big scare, and Danny had told me at the beginning of the season, he's like, you need to tell him no. I was like, no, he loves doing it. Look, he loves it. Like, and you know, he was like, you need to save him from himself. So that's on a later slide, but yeah,
go ahead.
I know. All right.
All right. Under promise, over deliver. Okay? Really, really important. If you go out and you tell everybody that you're going to do everything under the sun, then they're going to expect you to do everything under the sun. Right? Whereas if you're realistic and you stay within yourself and you say, this is what we're delivering, and then you over deliver, it goes miles. It goes miles. And it allows you, let's just say something unexpectedly happens, it allows you a little bit of time because maybe you planned on doing something more, but this is what you were going to set out to do, and life gets in the way, you're buying yourself some time. Okay, I know we want to help everybody. Believe me, I get it. You know, if I could snap my finger and all my plans would come true that are more about others than myself, I would. But it just doesn't really work that way. Keeping up with the Joneses versus sharing your vision. Okay, we tend, at least in the States, we tend to, hey, well, they got a 10,000 square foot gym. Oh, well, they got a 12,000 square. Oh, I need to get a 12,000 square foot gym. They got 3 floors, I need to get 3 floors. And we just spend all of our time focusing on what others are doing, and that really imbalances us very, very, very quickly. Versus if you continue to share your vision, if y'all were in our session earlier about sharing vision, it's really, really important for people to know where you're going. And that provides more balance than trying to keep up with everybody else. Do y'all feel like you'll have to keep up with others that are growing faster or getting bigger? It's okay if it is, you know.
You feel like you have, but it's not even so much pressure that you put on yourself for that, but you feel like you have pressure from, like, sometimes like people in the gym to do that. Like they see, oh, they've done this year. Why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
So you kind of get
caught up in the.
Like, oh, well, maybe we
Yeah, yeah. I love that. We love that Michael Phelps slide. We always, our coaches always put it up where, you know, he's in the Olympics and doing his thing, and you know, next to him the swimmer is next to him is looking to see what he's doing, and it's like you know, and he's all focused forward, and I'm one of the worst. You know, I'll be like, oh, we have to hurry and do this because we're going to lose those customers that might come over if, you know, if we don't hurry and get a San Antonio location. And he's like, you know, he helps me. He balances.
Balance that with, you know, not wanting to, you know, kind of watch what everyone else is doing on a running race, but still staying competitive and relevant, and, you know, in that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you know, it'd be naive for us to say that we don't. We follow the trends of the industry, but we don't look at somebody else to compare ourselves to. You know what I mean? Like that's why coming to these types of things is so important, because you can see an idea of where it's heading without having to plan your business plan around other people. It's what you do, and learning. I think the main thing is keeping up with that the score sheet and the scoring system, because if you do that, then you don't have to really look at what everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? And we have it where his sister lives in Houston, in Woodlands area, and so you know, that their gyms are huge. I mean, they have you know, massive amount of members there. And he one night about 11:30, which his sister never calls that late, so we thought something was wrong, and she called him to tell him, you would never guess, one of her friends at the country club said, I just got out of a 2-hour meeting, you know, that these parents or the coaches were, you know, talking about us, how we're going to beat Stars Vipers. What are we going to do next season to beat? And so they literally had a planning session with their parents, or, you know, around the things that they needed to do and it made us, you know, it was an honor. And I'll tell you what, this season they're tougher. So you know what I mean? Like it's their teams look amazing this season. And so, not that they didn't before, but I think you know, if we ever get to that point where we're getting, you know, we don't feel like we're being successful, then we would need to probably take a step back and be like, okay, what are people who are successful, you know, that are doing that?
We look at like gyms in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it.
We follow like the international side.
Yeah.
I always take that step back.
Sure.
When we look, because whenever you look at another gym or you look at someone else, you don't see the background. You only see the tip of the iceberg. Like people look at, like we moved into a new gym this year, and it's like we've got 4 floors and it's huge, and it's like everyone's like, wow, like everyone comes up and like, how is it this, and it's like, yeah, well, like I've slept 4 hours for like every night, and like my relationship with this and this suffered, and it's like we could have stayed where we were and been happy, like, and sometimes, you know, taking that step forward is not always the best way to go. People always think like, let's go bigger, let's get better, but you know, where you are might be just the happy
exactly.
place.
Yeah,
It's not always green on the other side.
Yeah.
No, so, you know, I'm so glad you said that. Thanks for like being so open about that, because you know, Rebecca and I, you know, we've been for like 3 years we've been trying to get in Austin. It just hasn't been right. You know, I knew I would be getting 4 hours of sleep, tossing and turning and trying to figure stuff out, and you know, it just, when it, you know, we spent all that time trying to find a place that was going to fit, because I knew in my heart what we could do and what we couldn't do financially, right? And then so we did all this work, and then all of a sudden we just put out this, hey, you know, we just want to meet you because we know you're a player in Austin and this community, and we just want to know who you are. We just randomly just reached out to this lady, and Danielle's like, yeah, I'll meet you for coffee. 15 minutes, I had the deal I was looking for that I knew would not stress me out. So, you know, and the reason why I tell you that is because if we would have done it a different way, that balance would have definitely been impacted. You know, at least up here in my brain, it would have been impacted, which
Yeah.
would probably be a negative influence and impact on a lot of my employees and parents and athletes. You know, so it's a great. I'm glad you shared that, because it really, you know, if we start to you know move forward, and we kind of sense that that's going to put us in that position, you got to trust your gut sometimes. You know, but then again, the flip side of that is, if you're willing to step off that and take that risk, a lot of times you're going to get rewarded for it as well.
Yeah.
Between like risk and rush.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone is in a rush,
Yeah.
and it just shoots the risk up. You take the rush out of it, and you
Yeah.
still got to take a risk in everything you do. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but if you don't rush it, you know, it'll help. You know,
Absolutely,
bring the
yeah.
risk down.
Yeah.
And that's
Still,
hard.
everything's still risky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like that feeling.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We all do.
Yeah. Everybody who's
Yeah.
in here likes that. I know. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm trying to protect I like it too, but I'm trying to protect myself from it a little bit, all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so day-to-day activities, right? If you can't tell, the most important thing up there is scheduling, scheduling, scheduling. You got to be ahead of it. You got to be all over it. Probably the three most important things if you focus around your employees is their schedule. They need to know where they need to be. They need to know what you expect. Their compensation, don't ever mess with their money. And their time out, their time away from the gym. If you master those three things, which we haven't mastered, but if you master those three things, you're going to have some happy employees. They're going to be really, really happy. So scheduling, it impacts your members, it impacts your athletes' experience, it impacts your employees' experience. We really, really got to stay on top of that, and that really helps provide balance for everybody in your gym. Administrative work, got to stay on top of it. Okay, payroll, you know, event preparation. I just kind of put those up there for an example of things that you need to stay on top of. It can't be, I'm going to put off what I can do today and put it off till tomorrow. You know, you got to have your schedule set. You guys know what your schedules are. You guys know it a lot better than I do. So making sure that you stay on schedule provides that balance for you as well. This is something that we're really bad at, is that last bullet, staff meetings. When things tend to go well, you tend to move away from this. Okay, you tend to kind of back off, and we've been very fortunate that things have gone well. And they're not going well by accident. They've gone well because we've worked hard. But as you start to grow, I was talking about earlier, as you start to grow, you can't continue to do the same things. You got to become more efficient, or you stop at a certain scale. This is where you're maxed out at. And so holding these regular staff meetings has brought a whole new dynamic into our gym. You guys probably already do it, so we might be experiencing it for the kind of more of a newer time period than maybe you guys are. But this provides balance from what I'm experienced personally, because my coaches are in tune with each other. They know what's going to happen at practice. They know what the expectations are of our leaders on our coaching staff. You know, they know, who needs to be called, who doesn't need to be called, who's doing their skills, who's not doing their skills, versus if you just show up to practice and you try and roll the ball out and start doing it and relying on your skill and not having discipline in your skill, that creates a ton of imbalance. That's something that we've recently learned this year. And then when you have those meetings, y'all probably already know this, inspect what you expect, okay? And so if you tell your staff, this is what we need to have, and you circle back and it's not done, you need to make sure that they're delivering on what their responsibilities are to provide that balance, because you can't do everything on your own.
How often do you guys stop meeting?
During competition season, we normally will have a Thursday night meeting to everybody level sets before we take off for our comp. And then we'll usually have, after our comp, the next Monday or Tuesday, we'll have it, usually it's on Monday, we'll have it in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So we have about a 3 or 4 hour period where we can sit down and start strategically going over things with our teams.
And we also have one on between Saturday and Sunday on 2-day comps. Like, we order pizza in our hotel room, and they all just come in, and we kind of just talk about the day, what we need to go over with the teams for the next day. But those, but then comes summer. Summer, we're, we maybe have one big staff meeting at the end of the summer, but summer is more, or at the beginning of the season too, after we choose our teams. Summer, we're tired because we're doing choreography, and then we have teams in the evenings. So everybody, we kind of skip them in the summer, probably, you know, yeah.
We need to start figuring that out.
Yeah, we definitely
So,
do.
when y'all see these, I mean, are these things that y'all already do? Are they things that can help you, or just questions or anything at all?
Okay, all right. These last 2 slides we kind of got, all right.
Yeah, we kind of already talked about this.
Yeah,
You know, and Rebecca highlighted a really, really good case, and you know, you can't look back and say, hey, you know, I told you so, kind of thing. It's just more of, you know, it's a learning experience for us, you know, because you know, your coaches, they want to help, they want to do everything they possibly can, and you just really have to figure out how you protect them from themselves, okay? And it's interesting, bless you. We've had 2 circumstances this year. The one that Rebecca highlighted was a situation that we have a coach who, you know, decided, hey, he kept saying yes to everything, right? And so that created to the experience that we went through this year. And then we had a selection on one of our Worlds teams this year where I reminded our coach, hey, listen, remember what our experience has been. I don't know if this is the right selection, right? And so fast forward a few months, my observation was correct. That individual's not on the team. Creates imbalance. Scrambling to find somebody else, trying to make the team comfortable. They're out of balance because they just lost a really, really, really good athlete. And so, you know, what's been good about that is, in at least the case of the second case I'm talking about, that individual was to say, you know what, I know you, before we kind of made the decision to take the person, I know you're going to kind of say I told you so, but here we are. And they self-realized that we need, you know, we maybe should have made that decision back here, but we need to make it now. And so moving forward, we probably built some behaviors that will change moving forward, so we can kind of maintain that balance. Okay. Let's see, what do we have up there? Priority items, schedule, time off, compensation. I kind of covered that with you. Okay. Protect your employees from themselves. We just talked to that. I think they can help everyone. The importance of relationship drives your effectiveness. That's critical. The importance of your relationship drives your effectiveness. Okay? So what does that mean in my mind? What that means is we can talk about all these really good tactics in order to help them create balance, but if you don't have a personal relationship with them and you don't understand them, then you may lack effectiveness in getting them to act on these behaviors you're wanting them to act on. Okay, so you really got to make sure that you understand your staff, so when you come up and let them know, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do that. I want you to take that off your plate. If you have a good relationship with them, you might be more successful versus if it's just a work relationship. And then when I mean a good, it doesn't mean that you're like hanging out with them all the time and y'all are considered buddies, but they need to respect the fact of your role. They need to respect you, and they need to know that when you make a decision, they need to know that you're making it for the good of the entire program. And so that's what I mean by effective relationship. Okay. Mentor employees that want to help themselves. Okay. I face this a lot. Do y'all have employees that y'all kind of help them grow and kind of mentor them a little bit? Do y'all have those ones that just really don't listen to you at all? Okay.
They want the advice, but they don't take it. Yeah.
You know, they're like, hey, you know what? I need this. And you're like, okay, great. You know, this is what you can do to get that. And they don't ever do it, right? And so that's what I mean by you need to know your staff. If you want to really start developing them, you really want to make sure that the ones that are listening and acting on your coaching are the ones you're spending the most time with. I know it sounds bad, but it's your time. It's valuable. I'm encouraging you to really spend time with those ones that they want to help themselves. Okay. Any questions on that, or any stories that y'all have on anything there? Okay. Growth plans. This is something that's we talked a little bit earlier, right? A little bit in our conversation. You know, it has to be. You have to have what the objectives are, and then you have to have what the actual tactics are. Not just, you know what, I'm going to do better at, let's see, what is one of the recent ones? It's more happens when our coaches are coaching our athletes, which is, hey, you know what, you just need to get better at your tumbling. Get in the gym more. Take a private lesson. Okay, so How can we measure that? You know, I really don't know how we can. So now we're coaching our coaches to say, hey, listen, this is what we're trying to get done. What are you going to do? Okay, so Susie's going to say, I'm going to be in the gym every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and I'm doing a tumbling class. I'm going to come back on Thursdays at 6 o'clock and I'm going to be doing this. So they have to be specific and actionable, and people have to be able to observe it and be able to hold them accountable to it. Okay. Basics of financial planning, work-life balance. This is something that, you know, it's in my backyard, so I help my staff with it. You know, I mean, just understanding just fundamentals of finance, helping them start developing those skills helps provide balance, because most of the time my coaches' stress are usually things that are outside of the gym. Okay, and a lot of it has to do potentially with financial decisions or whatever the case may be. So if we can help them there, that'll provide a little bit more balance. What helps provide balance for your staff? Basing your evaluations on behaviors, not outcomes. You know, if you've been to our sessions, you probably already know we're really focused on behavior-based coaching. Okay, making sure that if they're doing the right behaviors, they're showing to work on time, they're being great coaches, they're being good teammates to their staff, amazing balance behaviors for your staff, that's what you're basing on. Not, hey, did you win a jacket? Did you win Summit? Did you get a World's Bid? Did you do this? Those are conversations that never happen in our gym. We've never based a raise, we've never based a quality of the employee in our gym based on an outcome. Okay. Where are we at? Okay, so that kind of leads to the next one. Focus on the what and the how. Does anybody know what that means?
Focus on what you want and how to do it.
Yeah, so give me an example.
As a gym owner, as an athlete, or as a coach?
However you want to respond. Gym owner.
As a coach, what I want is my teams to max out on their jump sequence.
Okay.
How do we do that? More drills, more skills, more preparation for them to get that. That's where they struggle. We can spend more time on that.
Okay, good. So not only the what, but the how is extremely important, because there's a lot of really successful programs out there that do really, really well, but I'm not sure I'm in alignment with their how, right? There's also some groups that may not be in the limelight and be on all the videos and be on everybody's, you know, hey, I really want to see that team, but their how is amazing. You know, so you really got to find your balance on where you want to be, okay? Reassure your staff that they're more than a jacket, a ring, or a banner. It'll take so much stress off of them. It'll create balance. It just keeps them, you know, like, hey, I know that if something accidentally goes wrong because it's not for lack of preparation, that I'm not gonna feel that. It's really, really important.
Okay. This was more me, because this was something that I felt always to my or you know, me and Danny's work-life balance as far as what's important to me. So, you know, like what would happen, you know, if I know so many of us are absorbed in this, you know, full time, like, and it's our life. Like, you know, what would happen if, you know, your athletes, like something happened, you know, and do you have a plan in mind, you know, and that's really, you have to think about it. It's kind of like the will, you know, you don't want to think about it. You know, we hated sitting down having to do that, but with what he does, it was part of what we have to do. And so, you know, you want to make sure that you're creating something really good, but you also want to, make sure that it can survive without you. All right. And that's where I think I see a lot of, you know, like especially the smaller gyms that they do everything, you know, and then you can't be, and they're like, oh, I don't have time, or I don't, you know, I can't invest in that to, you know, have somebody come in and help me. But you have to have those things in place to make sure that your athletes, you know, if you truly care about them, you want to make sure that there's something for them. And then what is your business cycle as far as, do you want to?
Yeah, so business cycle, pretty straightforward. Like what is your plan, right, with your business? I think I'm more caught that yours is long-term. Is that correct? Like your business, you want it to be more long-term, right? And I think everybody just kind of assumes that, hey, I want my business to be in place forever. when not necessarily that's not everybody's goal. And so understand what your cycle is. Okay, is my cycle to get to 5 years and get big enough to where somebody buys me? Is my cycle 10 years? Pass this on to somebody else. Understand your cycle, making sure that, hey, what is really my plan? What do I want to do with this? The more you do that, the more balance you have. And then, business continuation strategies. There's probably less than 5% of small, closely held businesses that actually have a continuation strategy. Okay, and really what that means is if you become incapacitated, if you pass prematurely, what is the plan? Okay, is there a plan and is it important to you? Right? And so these are things that I think about and that I'm concerned with. And if you look at most small, closely held businesses, when something happens to the key individual, a lot of times that business doesn't survive. Okay, and so I'm not saying that you need to have a strategy right now and you need to provide that into your plan right now. But if it's important to you to make sure that whatever it is that your goals are, that you're making sure that at least if you don't know how to do this, is that you're getting help to seek how to do this. There's really easy strategies out there to help you do that.
Yeah. And our business could probably, we probably need to do something a little bit, but doing this slide and kind of walking through these, I was like, what, our business would be fine as far as the coaching part and all of those things and our teams, but I think obviously our leadership, there wouldn't be anybody there. We control the bank account, we do all those types of things, so we really don't have those steps in mind, like of what would happen. We are grooming, our younger daughter. She does want to do this, but she is 18 and nowhere near ready to do,
No.
Yeah, so I know. So
Change that up regularly, or is that something you change up regularly, or is it something you put in place and 20 years from now that's what it's doing?
Your continuation strategies, like, let's say for instance, like it could be as simple as saying, okay, well, if something happens to me, I want my business to dissolve. That could be a strategy, right? Or it could be, if something happens to me, I want this sum of money to go over here, and I want it to support whoever is next in line. And if you don't have the money sitting in your bank account, there's different vehicles out there that you can immediately create that estate that it goes in, right? But to answer your question, it just depends, right? If you have it in place and you choose to say, hey, no matter what, this is going to be 20 years down the road, I don't want to mess with this for 20 years, that could be a decision that you make. You might set it for 10 years and then something happens financially and you're like, you know what? I don't think I need that in place anymore because someone's buying my business and I'm going to move in a different direction. So it is something that is evolving all the time. It's something that you should probably visit every 2 years or so. That's what I would suggest.
yeah, okay. That's all. Yeah.
All right,
Any
questions? Comments?
I know
everybody's kind of like getting a little
I know.
A little lag
We're
on
all
it.
tired. We're like, oh, I know. Yes. I know.
Yes, ma'am.
This isn't so much comment on this particular slide,
Mhm.
but I find with the work-life balance, I have a young son, and this is a new business that we started opening up. I find that I have a lot of work to do, and there's never any, stop to that work that needs to be done. But I find I get a lot of guilt. Like, if I'm working, I'm guilty I'm not spending time with him. If I'm spending time with him, I'm guilty I'm not working on business. If he's at daycare and I just need, time to relax, I feel guilty that I'm relaxing and not
Right.
working. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can enjoy either time, like any of the times, because I feel like I should be doing something else always.
Oh yeah. And that's yes. I think we all are. I think any of us that have children, I know we were just talking about that a little while ago. So it's especially because I never felt that when I was a teacher, you know what I mean? Because I knew I had the summers, I knew I had, all these other things. So it is definitely a, I guess, like he said, I have to look at it as I'm providing, I'm providing for my family, you know what I mean? And it's something that I love to do. And he's along for most of the ride, he's on one of our teams. He would prefer to play football, but he's on, and he's very talented. He's very good at the sport, but we, you know, I kind of want him, you know, he's talked about not doing a team next year, but I'm like, no, I would never get to see him. You know what I mean? And he has to be here at the gym. So I told him, you can play sports, but you're still going to have to do a team here. And it's more selfish on my part, but I just feel like it's the one thing that, you know, and
I think the reality of it is it's natural to feel guilty, right? You know, I mean, it's totally natural. But I think the reality of it, if he crossed that bridge, we would support him, and I would carve myself out time to make sure that I'm supporting him. It's just that important. You know, but it doesn't mean that we just got to figure out creatively how do you do that, and you know, because it's definitely not okay. Let's just split my life into thirds, and
I wish there was 3 of me.
yeah, I know. Well, and like our oldest daughter's getting ready any day to have a baby. In fact, she was in the hospital last night, and I was like, no. I was stressing, yeah. And so, but I'm definitely. I mean, you know, I'm. That there's absolutely no way, even if it were at NCA, you know, I mean, he'll come before them, but that I'm not going to make time to go do that, you know what I mean, and I will be in the moment when I'm there, definitely. But I'll still be thinking about work, you know what I mean, about everything that needs to get done. I'll still get, you know, I just got a text message, you know, we got 3 text messages on Christmas Day from customers. You know, there's no limit to when they reach out to you. You know, so it's it is constantly happening, whether or not I reply to them. You know, and actually, you know, these I didn't even read because I was like, I'm not, you know, going to respond. We sent out a message very clearly that we were going to be gone this week. You know, there's different channels that you need to go through to ask your questions, and you know, we set those in place, and so, you know, and then don't feel guilty, you know, put out there, this is, you know, my break, or, you know, whatever, you know, during these time periods, unless it's a true emergency, you know, and, you know, a kid, you know, there's definitely you need to set your expectations on what your emergency is versus, you know, something else. I
had a simple rule, you know, kind of like when I was a younger dad, you know, I would literally tell my kids, you know, because, you know, Rebecca's doing something, I have my kids, and, you know, back then you have your kids, right? I'd actually he'd just sit right here and let me jog for 45 minutes, and I'll be a better dad. You know, and that was just, it became part of our culture. It was like, just let me go do this for 40 minutes. I'll run around, y'all can watch me, just let me have this time, and I'll be better, you know? And so just making sure that you're communicating those types of things,
I think
which...
it's hard too, because like he's only 2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they don't get that.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
What I'm just trying to say is that you do need that time to yourself is really what I was trying to convey. You shouldn't feel guilty on that, because you're carving out that time for yourself.
I think it's that mindset
Yeah.
shift in you.
Yeah.
To give yourself permission to be productive on your work and on your business, and to give yourself permission to be present with your kid, because you're just as responsible for that, and that's just
I
as
find
important.
that very
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got to give yourself that permission to be able to do it. Otherwise, you are just running in circles and chasing your tail because you're like, I'm here, but I should be there. Or when you're there, or I should be doing that.
Yeah.
It's really easy to fall into that cycle that sometimes you've just got to give yourself permission to do, but then you can't give yourself too much permission to start.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I go big.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, that's what I know that when we do choose to have those times, it's you know, I don't think there's any second that we're, you know, or 5 minutes goes by that something from work doesn't cross our mind, you know what I mean? But I think, just like she said, making that conscious decision on you know what, I'm gonna, you know, pay attention and do this. So it's
I think I don't have as much problem separating as she does.
Yeah.
You know, I'm able to separate a lot better. You know, I shouldn't say better, but easier. You know, because of my culture background. You know, over here of where I've been and what I see and how I can able to treat those employees that, you know, that has a lot more support on it. You know, so it's
well, and
easier.
part of my mindset is, you know, like I said the other day, I have all these, you know, I come up with brilliant ideas, just like, you know, at 2:00 in the morning, I'm like, And so you know what I mean? I'm like, well, that would be a great revenue stream. You know what I mean? Like, we need to start that. And so, you know, I'll get up and I'll, you know, create the class. I'm like, this class is going to happen. And he's like, hold on. Like, well, who's teaching it? Like, you know, where's the floor space for it? And I'm like, oh, I forgot about all that stuff. So, but that's how my brain works, is I'm constantly trying to figure out, you know, like, you know, we're getting ready to get a new facility, and we're kind of going to go through probably, you know, what you went through. And it's, you know, we have 10,000 square feet now. We're about to go to 75,000. So, you know, we're like, yeah. So in our brain, we're like, you know, in my brain at least, I'm like all of the different things that can happen within that facility. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. So
not a lot. And
so it's, I just think of all the other revenue streams that we can have with a facility that size. So,
could probably fit another.
So I do it to myself, you know, and it's like,
in the back.
Stop.
But we're going to start with
stop,
that 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
That's
I think
a
it's
really
roughly
big
12
space.
square feet to
Yeah.
a square metre, if that helps.
Yeah.
So
It's huge. It's like you could fit a football field
so
inside of it.
they're
It's
going
huge.
from like 1,000 square
I don't
metres
think
to
so.
7 times that.
If it weren't the
Yeah.
divider,
But
wasn't.
it's just a different strategy. It's not all star. It's like, you know, we'll be doing other things in there. And so.
Yeah.
It's something we really, and I really urge so many business owners, everyone I talk to, is like this top point. What if cheer was no more? Like,
Yeah.
in the US, you guys have seen a real slow in growth rates.
Mhm.
Like, overall, I don't know about your cost specifically, but like in Australia, we're
Yeah.
skyrocketing right now, but
Mhm.
it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin, right? Like, you know, it's not going to last forever. And if you want to future-proof yourself, you've got to think outside the box. Where
Yeah.
when cheer is only 1/5 of our business, or
Yeah.
one of our businesses. Yeah, they're all
Mhm.
different.
Yeah.
It's not, like, you don't think. I tell everyone, don't just think cheer. Like,
Yeah.
cheer's
Yeah.
only going to go for
I know.
so take you so far.
Where
Yeah.
are you planning on going from there? What's
Well,
the next
we're
step?
now a sports centre.
Yeah.
So we do everything
Mhm.
from everything we do.
Yeah.
You know, we have a mixed martial arts, kickboxing.
Mhm.
Anything
Yeah.
you can use on a sprung floor, but
No, we have separate rooms for that. It's all
You've only
different.
got cheer floors, your turntable's taken up with cheer. You can't really do anything else.
We've got cheer floors, like many, and some are cheer, and some are tumble, some are parkour.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some
We-
are preschool. We have
Yeah.
dance rooms, and
Yeah.
dance room might be fizzy, might be Pilates, might be dance.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's not just
Yeah.
one.
It's kind of, yeah.
We're a sports centre. It's not about cheer. It is mainly cheer right now.
Yeah.
Like it's the biggest
Right,
third of the
right.
business, but
Yeah.
it's only one of many things. And it's like if cheer was no
Yeah.
more tomorrow, we'll
Yeah.
continue.
Well, and that's if you go to in the U.S., a lot of the USA stuff things that you do, you go into these sessions and they talk about those other revenue streams, you know, and we're going to expand on that because wrestling is we're going to have a wrestling program, and then you know we're always trying to build our co-ed programs, and so the parkour, the place that we lease space from in Boston, Tumble Tech, we have TNT a parkour program, and then we have floors too, and then they do like rec classes as well, and but and birthday parties, but they use all of that space for all those things. But the parkour program from May till now has 350 boys in it. So yeah, just boys, and so
We went from 2 to 40 units.
yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
Is that revenue covering all the equipment and stuff like that that you've got to get for it? Or?
Yeah, it's the same. They're no more wear on equipment than the cheer.
Yeah.
You know, our pricing structure.
I mean, because, I mean, at least from my perspective, I mean, in our experience, I mean, if you look at All-Star, I mean, it has the least margin most of the time in your gym
Yeah.
because of the amount of time. If you actually break down the time that you spend with every one of these athletes, so because that's when I hear it's expensive, I'm like, we spend so much time. If you really break it down per hour on what you're paying for what we deliver, there is a much smaller amount of margin. And so creating those other revenue streams is very important. It's a whole different class, but yeah, that's extremely important to make sure that you're being creative, and just not within sports.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it could be A lot of our athletes go to, and I forget what y'all call it here, but Arasti.
Dizzy,
Manipulate
it's just
soft muscle tissue, and then they put that tape over it. Y'all have those doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like we have a somebody told me the name.
Yes.
Chiropractor, physiotherapist.
It's
Well, it's just different. It's just like it's more soft tissue muscle manipulation. It's very, very popular in the United States.
yeah.
Like my
If they
What?
so they're not out. Like
Yeah.
the doctor does not encourage them to
Stop.
stop. It's like, they're dealing with the pain and
Anything.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we already like have a lot of our clients that go there. So we're gonna bring one of those doctors in to our facility. So
Yeah.
so it's just just kind of thinking about those types of things, or just
Yeah.
a few different
Yeah.
ideas to help you kind of work through that.
Getting creative and
It's like the way we market it as well, because we do like voice only telling
Yeah.
as like a combination, particularly 5 minutes of each.
Mhm.
And that we call it like the superhero training.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's
the voice and pop part of it.
yeah.
So when they sign up, it's like
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
orientated. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
That was the
I know.
big change in our business name. Like it went from high-rise cheerleading to high-rise sports centre,
Yeah.
and that was just the biggest shift in the whole community's
Yeah.
philosophies on it, because you've gone from cheerleading to sports centre, and now we've got gymnasts walking in the door every day. Boys are just
Yeah.
we've got-
Well, and they're bringing siblings in that
it's just-
that may want to do another activity. Yeah.
just
So
like
it's
cheerleading. It's like the
Yeah.
outside of the football.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're-
absolutely.
and
That's
ours-
and that's when you go to a conference in the States. That's the bulk of the conversation. Is what are the different revenue streams we can bring in, because we've already. I shouldn't say we've like. We have a really good idea of what we're doing in the all-star type situation, and so there's only so many creative ideas you're going to come up with that revolve around that particular sport. So that's probably one of the biggest differences that you'll see in a conference, is that it's what else are we doing?
Yeah,
else
what
we
are
doing?
the
What else are we doing?
revenue
Like,
streams,
if
yeah.
y'all are familiar with Prodigy's cheer program, that's probably the smallest part of their business. They're a big gymnastics studio and create
They
Olympians.
do. Yeah, their preschool program is
Yeah.
like $3 million a year. Like it's a great revenue stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's
yeah.
just constant feeders. Just
Yeah, and then, you get them in there and they-
that experience they deliver is amazing.
Yeah.
And so those are conversations.
And going back, just to note, because we're on some of those committees that we hear the side notes. All Stars is going down, but every youth sport in the United States right now has increased enrollment. So and ours really is not decreasing as much as other sports are. So it's it's a trend right now.
And I don't necessarily say sport is decreasing. It's the variety of the sports some of them are video games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are sports. Whether we like it or not, whether we feel that this group of kids, that's considered their sport.
Right.
And so a lot of that is not your traditional mainstream sport, and so they're doing something. They're just not on a field or a basketball court. And so when I tell my staff, I go, who's our competitors? And they're like, oh, well, so-and-so All-Stars or this. Those are not our competitors. Mm-hmm. Our competitors are soccer and football and, video games, and those are our competitors. You got to be able to deliver a different experience to keep them here, because there's so many things outside that are more appealing than another All-Star gym.
And one of the things that the USASF is getting ready to launch is it's called Fundamentals, and it's like FUN is the big part of it, but it's for those kids, because right now, if you were to walk in our gym and see our contract, even for our show team, it's 9 months long, So they're introducing some of these programs that they can walk in, because if a kid, a parent walks in our door is like, I'm interested in your program. Okay, well, $500 down, it's a $500 uniform, $175, 12 months, pay, $3,100, travel fees, this and that. and it, we locked in for 12 months. And so right now they're trying to create programs that, it's kind of be like a compulsory routine where, USASF sends it out kind of like gymnastics does with their, each of theirs. And you teach it during a session, it's a couple, 8 weeks long or whatever. They do a little routine, do this, and then, they can join again the next session. They can, and so, and that things we've kind of,
they just compete for a score, And so it's, I compare it to like in United States we have a thing called I-9 sports, and so really it's these. They show up on a Saturday, they practice, and they play a game, and they don't practice anymore. Yeah. It's just that.
And we got Coco in some of that because that was really the only thing that we had time to take him to, and we were very disappointed in it because obviously the kids didn't show up, and and it was.
And I know we're talking about a lot of these ideas, and I'll be honest with you, they don't fit our culture.
Yeah.
They really, really do not fit our culture because we're trying to develop like these really, really advanced athletes. Most of us are. And so it's not very realistic. I know we're talking about those things and they create revenue stream, but what you're going to face is because I already know I'm going to face it if we start to do this is I don't have coaches that have passion around that.
Yeah.
Right. I really, really don't.
Yeah.
And so whether it's going to be successful or not, I just don't know. But
I think I mean, and see, that's where I'm like, no, we'll make that happen. We'll have junior coaches or somebody, because they can coach that. It's not as critical.
It's just going to be different. It's going to be, you gotta really make sure you look at the whole picture. You're not just looking at the revenue stream.
Yeah.
And you don't want to make something. I shouldn't say you don't want to, but I would caution people making something part of your program just because of the revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you decided to own your own gym because you're passionate about what you do. And if you just focus on that bottom line, you may lose some of your passion. So just a closing thought. I know that we've definitely jumped off topic, which is awesome because I think you're getting more of what you want, which is that's more important than what we have on a slide. So I definitely appreciate, us kind of agile, moving being a little agile, moving in a different direction. But y'all are our last group. Okay, so I know some of you have been in several of our sessions, and a few here and there. I want to tell you that Rebecca and I we took this very seriously. It's very important to us to come in and be as honest and open as we possibly can. We didn't want to come in and say, hey, this is like the perfect picture and this is how it works. That's definitely not the reality of it, and it really never is that way. I haven't met a person that finally has opened up to me a little bit, where you see them at competition, like, oh my God, they're legend, right? They have the same concerns you do, same ones. Yeah. And so for y'all to be here and being engaged, and everybody that we've met obviously has a lot of passion for their gyms. We truly appreciate y'all listening and asking questions and engaging. It was definitely a big learning process for Rebecca and I to be here. And I promise you we probably got more out of this than maybe you did.
Yeah.
But we definitely appreciate
one thing that I want y'all to know is that because we've gone into some of these sessions before and so much was thrown at us, and I think I would walk away feeling like, oh my God, like that's overwhelming, like I can't do all of that. And so there's a lot we didn't share, but there's also a lot we did share. So don't ever feel like you have to take away everything that that's what we ended up doing. We just took bits and pieces of speeches and things that we liked and ideas and like I said, I'm the one that's overzealous. I was like, oh, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. And then I would become stressed out because I knew I couldn't implement it, or my staff didn't want to implement it, They were like, what? But I don't want to teach that class. And so we just be really careful. So don't, we're always open to feedback. And if y'all have any questions, we're, more than accessible. Yes.
A bit of an odd question. I've opted, because I'm really curious about, continuing to grow and develop my brain, my company, like everything that we're doing. And I've thought about going and experiencing these sorts of conferences, but over in the States, because that's where it developed and grew from. If we were going to do that, what one would you guys recommend us?
I would, the USASF in the summer, that one they used to do them regionally, so but this coming summer they just announced that they'll be doing it in Dallas, one in Dallas, and in that one, and then they're also, I think we're going to be speaking also at Varsity U. That's kind of like more, I don't know if y'all would get as much out of that one. USASF is more kind of what Noreen did here. You know what I mean? She brought in people like to teach stuff and to do things. Varsity U has that as well. I know the lady from Cheer Sport Sharks comes in and speaks at that one, and then we're going to be there. But it's because Varsity is a brand, you know, and owns brands. It's probably a little bit more specific. So, but USASF is just general. You know, they have so many. They have all the event producers underneath them, and then you know they.
Yeah, I get a lot of USASF. They do a lot of. They're starting to scratch the surface of corporate training, kind of like we just provided a little glimpse. And they'll actually be able to take you through exercises and role plays and you know, have you really interact a lot more, because their training program's built out a lot more than what I've experienced anywhere else.
Yeah.
Do
So
them all over the country? Like,
that one's just in Dallas,
This coming year is just going to be one in Dallas.
and that's where everybody. It's going to be a national one versus
Yeah.
the regional. So you'll
I see
be.
even just from, you know, I probably wouldn't get involved, but if you don't have the
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah,
just to
no,
sit and
definitely.
watch
Yeah.
everyone interact
Well, and then
that sort of
yeah, and then you
environment.
can like even tell Noreen like which ones you got out of it, so she can invite you know maybe next year some of those speakers to come here, because you know I don't know anybody that would turn a gig like this down. You know what I mean? And you know, yes, anytime we have yes, it's you know. So but yeah, it's an incredible you know opportunity for us to come and do this.
Well,
So
I personally have gotten like the most out of you guys' talks. I really appreciate you guys coming and sharing.
Yeah.
and really everything as well.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, we've had a lot of really good people help us over the last 5 years, and they didn't have to.
Yeah.
And so you got to make sure you remember all those things. At least that's how, you know, I'm sure y'all are the same, and so that's why we're here, and it's exciting for us, and we definitely appreciate you guys.